Hey there, Danny here. Welcome to my ramblings. Excuse the clothes. They didn't get quite dry in the dryer, and I said, screw it. We hung them up. No unmentionable, so we're all good. Anyways, when you live in an RV, it's a small spot. Little space. It's plenty big enough for just me and the dogs, though. We've got plenty of room. Um, I wanted to come on here because like I said, I've been a writing fool for the last 6 or 7 months. And I was again tonight when I got home. I ended up stopping at the gas station after work. I was gonna stay out later because it was raining, and it was orders were good. I was making some good money. I had planned on staying out later, but I don't have my heater cores broken in my car, which usually isn't a big deal here in the desert because I just bought one of those seat warmers, and I wore a winter coat, and it kept me fine doing delivery while it was cold out. It doesn't rain here that often, so I thought nothing of the defroster. Anyways, we ended up having to cut it a little short because it was raining, and my windshield kept fogging up, and I couldn't keep it from unfogging without getting wet. It's a little two-door. So I said, all right, it's just not safe to be driving. And here, if you don't know anything about the Great Desert, we don't get rain here that often. And so when you do get rain, your wipers don't work very well the first or second time that you use them, and you have to go buy new ones. And then the next time it rains, same problem. But the way that it rains here, you can't really plan ahead too well. Because sometimes you think we're going to get something and we get nothing, and I could get, that should be the key for us to get wipers. But if we do, then it's not going to rain for a while. So you just, so it wasn't safe for me to keep driving. So I said, all right, that's it. I'm done. I got to go home. Stopped at the gas station on my way home, and one of my friends works there. So I tend, I tend to hang out for a while chatting. I mean, yeah, we do have each other's phone numbers and everything, but I don't know, it's kind of a thing. There's a lot of other regular customers that come in that make it very entertaining. It's actually, and I used to, when I was a teenager, I used to make fun of people like me. You know, I don't know, why are the old people always hanging out at the gas station? So if you're young and you're watching this, pay attention to what you're complaining about, because that's more than likely what you're going to become. Anyways, then I came home, and I became a writing fool, and it got me to thinking as I'm writing that I share things about my children, but not a lot. And as they were children growing up, I didn't raise them the standard way by society. And I knew that raising them a different way would cause a lot of questions for them. Because society has their own way of doing things, and if you don't do the things that society wants you to do, it's kind of odd. So, my children, I loved toddler years. I loved the teenage years. I tell everybody that I wasn't so fond of the grade school and middle school years. But it had nothing to do, it had nothing to do with my children and them being that age. It had absolutely nothing to do with that. I love those ages too with my children. The reason I didn't like grade school and middle school was because that's when my children started asking a lot of questions, because the way I was raising them wasn't exactly the same as their classmates, and exactly the same as society, teachers, and everybody else want you to raise your children, or their friends, or neighbors, or whatever. I didn't raise my kids the standard way. I was very, very strict on manners. Very strict on manners with them, and politeness. But when it came to school, they both did really well when they were in early grade school. And I was homeroom mom, and I was involved in everything. As they got a little older, their grades started to slip. And I remember the first few times that I found myself threatening to punish my child, attempting to argue and fight with my child to get A's and B's. And I remember a couple of times looking at my child and the look on his face, both of them, and thinking, why am I arguing with my kid over this? What is the point of this? I'm not arguing with them. And I remember telling the kids, I'm not arguing with you no more about schoolwork. I'm just not doing it. You do it, you don't do it, that's your business. All I care is that you pass. You can pass with C's and D's. I don't care. Just know you're going to have to deal with your teachers and shit being on your case. But if you're willing to deal with that, then I'm not going to argue and fight with you. I'm not going to push you to get any higher grades. And the reason that I wasn't going to push my children to get higher grades was because, what is the point? Really, when my kids started grade school, I thought, what is the point? I don't care if you have 5 kids in that class or you have 30 kids in that class. None of those kids learn the same. None of those kids, all of those kids don't have the same interests. But here we are, forcing them to learn this information. And we're giving them a letter or a number, measuring their self-worth of what we're teaching them, what we're saying they need to know. And what happens? They stop being kids. They're forced to sit down for extended periods of time, focus on things that they could care less about. Why? For what? What would be the point? Really, what would be the point? Well, I'll tell you. The point is so that they go on to school, to college, and get degrees. and then go out and work for the next 40, 50 years and then retire. For what? To make somebody else rich. That was the only reason. They weren't teaching kids how to survive. They weren't teaching children how to handle life. They were teaching them how to be obedient workers. I don't know about you, but you honestly think that all of these people who we look up to in our society, football players, sports athletes, celebrities, politicians, whatever. It doesn't matter. All these people that we look up to, why do we look up to them? Why do we look up to them? You look up to them because you didn't have the guts to do what they did. And all they did, honestly, all they did different than you was rebel against the system. They didn't want to believe what the society was telling them. How many times do you hear people say to kids growing up, "Oh no, you can't do that. You can't be a model. You can't be a singer. Only a select few are able to be an athlete professionally." I mean, how many times do you tell this to kids? That's not realistic. Well, if it's not realistic, then how do we have those things? It's evidently realistic. Then why do we tell children that they can't do those things? Why do we hinder what they want? Because if there's not enough people to be the wage slaves, you wouldn't have all of this other stuff. Seriously. If you all believed you could become whatever the hell you wanted to, they couldn't be getting paid for what they're doing. They broke the rules. And they live off of you. Because they broke the rules and said they weren't going to follow society's rules. I know that I can do this. I'm going to do it. And they go out and they do it. And the reason that you guys are slaves to them is because you spend all of your hard-earned money paying them. Do you not see? We have to have more people that don't have that drive. We've got to kill as many people's drive as we can, because otherwise there's just not enough to go around in the world. That's bullshit, but that's another video. Anyways, there's a point in time when my youngest son, Devin, was in, I think he was a freshman or a sophomore. And he said to me the one time, he brought home a report card. He said to me, he says, Mom, he goes, if none of this really matters out in the real world, he says, why do I have to go through it? And I said, okay. I said, based off of society's thoughts on it, I said, say you own a McDonald's. I said, say that you had two people, equally qualified, but one finished high school, finished the requirements society made for them, and the other person didn't. Which one do you think has more follow-through? Which one do you think is going to make a better employee? He goes, probably the one who graduated. Yeah. So that's why I said to him exactly, I said, that's why I told you, I don't care if you just pass with C's or D's. Just pass. You don't have to do it great. But if you want to move ahead by society standards, you just have to complete it. And once I said this to him, he was like, oh, okay. And it was like his whole world, his whole world just totally switched at that one answer. But over the years, they would come to me and ask me different questions about why I didn't push this, why I didn't push that. If they wanted to sign up for extracurricular activities, sports, instrument, whatever, it didn't matter. If they wanted to do, they did karate for a little while. If they wanted to do something extracurricular, I was 100% on board, and I would make sure that they would get whatever they needed to be able to do this. And if they didn't follow through and they only did it for a short period of time, that was okay too. How else were they going to know if they liked it or not unless they tried it? And if repeatedly they decided that it wasn't for them, they didn't have to keep going. It was about them going out and experiencing the world on their terms, not on mine. And when they both would ask me later, they're like, how come you didn't make us follow through with all that stuff? And I said, I didn't make you follow through with it because how did you know if you liked it or not unless you tried it? Once you tried it and you decided you didn't like it, why would I keep pushing you at it? Go find something that you like. You got to try a bunch of different things. That's what life's about, is experiences. Learning and figuring out what you like and what you don't like. And we hinder that in our society. But again, that brings it back to the whole point that how could all these people be rich if we didn't follow society's standards? They couldn't. Because we wouldn't keep paying them. Remember, we outnumber them. Society outnumbers them. Anyways, I just wanted to kind of share with you that when it came to my kids, I did not follow all of the rules with the stuff. And I told them when they were in high school, I said, enjoy these years. I said, and if you're going to do anything wrong, do it now while you're under 18. I said, don't go out and kill nobody or end up doing something that puts you in prison. I said, but go ahead and live life a little bit. You got to learn what that's like. And if you do it now, you won't have the need to do it when you go out into the world because you will have already gotten it out of your system. When you go out into the world, then you got to go out and be responsible. So live up this time. And they did. They did. Whatever they wanted, they got. I think we did. I think I did three. I think I did. Yeah, I'm almost positive. I think I did 3 proms. Yeah, I did 3 proms, and I think 4 or 5 homecomings. My kids are a year and a half apart. 18 months. There's actually 17 and a half months apart, but 18 months apart. So it was back to back to back to back to back. And high school's not cheap. Anyways, I wanted them to experience life on their terms, not on what other people told them life should be. I wanted them to experience it on their terms. And that's what I allowed them to do. And the only reason that I did it was, truthfully, what's your other option? To follow along with what society tells you to do? How's that going for us? That's working out beautifully, right? If I remember correctly, weren't we being forced to believe that God made a mistake? When somebody was born, a male or a female, that God, the one that all Christianity, which is the majority of America, believes does not make mistakes, somehow society was saying God made a mistake and we should accept it. No, we're not following society. Society's a little backwards right now. So, I just wanted to share that with you, that I didn't raise them the same, and I really don't talk a lot about my kids. I don't really talk about my kids that much because they're their own people. They saved me. I don't look at them as, I mean, they're my kids. They came from me, but I don't look at them as mine. They're their own. Each one's their own person, their own little human being. Now they're grown, but they're their own human being. So I never looked at them as mine. I looked at them as I was blessed to be able to be the one that could teach them right from wrong and how to be kind, decent people and what love was, so they could go out there and spread that. And that's all I cared about, was that. And I did it. I look at my boys, and they're grown. They're in their 30s now. I can tell you, when I look at my sons, I have nothing but pride, because they love. They love their family. They love their friends. They love the people that they're with. They love. They know how to love, and they know how to be loving to the people that they love. It's not hidden. No games are played. It's love. And they know how to be kind, compassionate, and understanding. That's all I needed to teach them. And my heart overfills with pride when I look at my kids. the part that was my job to teach them and then let them go out into the world and figure themselves out, I did it. I don't have any control after that. I was their first step. And I gave them a good foundation. And that foundation wasn't, to me, it wasn't as important to have a lot of possessions or to you know, keep up with the Joneses or live the American dream. I mean, literally, I wanted them to grow up and know that compassion, kindness, and love are the important things in life. That's all I wanted them to know. That's what I wanted them to know when they grew up, was those three things. I didn't care about money or possessions or any of the rest of it, or how my children made me look to my friends and family and society. My children were never a reflection of me. They were their own human beings, even when they were little. I was just in awe that I was picked to guide these two little human beings out into the world. And how do I do this so then they can have the most amazing experience in the world? And all I thought was teach them love, kindness, and compassion, and let them go experience the world. Money, possessions, none of that. It's not healthy. It's not healthy. It's not, you're not teaching your kids the purity of life. Love, kindness, and compassion are very, very important. And they start at home. That's where the kids get their foundation. That's where it comes from. But they're not yours. And when they become adults, they're definitely not yours. They never were yours. They were their own little human being. You were just given the blessing of being able to help shape and form them so they could go out into the world and experience it in the best way possible. Do you really think it was the best way possible that they went out into the world to live up to your dreams so you could brag to your friends? Doesn't that kind of sound like you're still a child yourself and stuck in high school? Let's go bragging? I mean, I don't know. A lot of the things with our society don't make a lot of sense to me. Anyways, I will leave you with that. I just wanted to kind of come on and share some stuff about my kids with you. Because I really don't talk about them much. And as I was doing my writings tonight, I realized I don't talk about them that often on here. So, and I don't know if they're ever watching. I think they do once in a while. I think once in a great while they might watch it. But if either one of you ever see this video, love you both. Anyways, have a great night, guys. You want to have a discussion about any of this? I'm totally open to it. That's the whole point of me doing these videos, is to get some conversations going and open people's minds to a better way of living. Love, kindness, and compassion is a totally different way of living. And that requires you to find your true authentic self and love yourself. And it's an amazing place to be. Anyways, I'll leave you with that. Have a good night, guys. I will see you in a day or two. I probably shouldn't say that because just the other day I did one that night and one the next morning. Anyways, we'll see you in a bit. Bye. Love ya.